when it comes to play dates, a lot of comedians joke about this. Comedians who became parents, they're like, it's quite funny, just the random people that you meet through these play dates, right? Because your kid and their kid, they're friends, but you don't know the parents. They could be anyone. And you tend to find yourself in these situations with people with whom you would never associate with otherwise, right? Your paths in life would never cross except for the fact that your kids get along. So, if you're single and you're like, I don't like these first dates. I'm over first dates. I want to get into a relationship to avoid first dates. It doesn't end. If you have kids, guess what? The first dates continue, except it's with the parents of your kids' friends. And it can be great. It can also be very awkward. So we went over to their house. And this couple, to be fair, they were very friendly. They were nice. They weren't bad at all. Okay, so yes, jackpot. When that happens, jackpot. However, there's one thing that really did stand out when it comes to their parenting style. And what stood out is every single thing that they were doing to raise their daughter, she's 3, on paper looked amazing, right? It's one of those logical plans that you would sketch out before having kids, right? Like, oh, when I have kids, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to start on that early, and I'm going to prep them for life. So they're really set up for success. And the couple, both of them worked in tech, right? So very logical, a little less connected to the emotional side of things. And like I said, logically, on paper, everything sounded quite great, right? Now, how did that translate off paper into real life? It was very strict, right? So I'd bumped into them before. We went to a bounce house with, a few of my daughter's friends, and they were there. And even at the bounce house, I noticed the father, for example, would be considered, a helicopter parent and was following his daughter everywhere and correcting her and giving her advice and checking in with her about everything. Right, so all the kids are in this bounce house, jumping up and down, having a blast, and the dad's like, "Hey, do you need to go to the bathroom? Do you need to go potty? Do you need to go? Okay, tell me if you need to go potty. Tell me if you need to go potty." Right, or sometimes the kids would get a little crazy, and he's like, "Oh, hey, don't get so crazy. Hey, come over here. Yeah, stay over here. Let's calm down a little bit." Right, and then again, just always correcting. At the play date over at their house, it was even correcting in terms of, hey, we don't say like this, it's like this, right? Oh, it's the wrong word. You should be saying this word, right? Correcting on everything. I also found out that their entire schedule is down to the T, right? It's like military camp. It's like our daughter wakes up at this time. Then during breakfast, because we're busy getting ready for work, we have a nanny that comes and that preps her for breakfast and also does a mini class during breakfast. Then they take her to daycare, and it's a multilingual daycare, so she learns multiple languages. We also hired a nanny who speaks another language, so she's now learning 3 languages. And the nanny then picks her up, does even more extra classes and homework at home. When it comes to toys, we don't really want too much color and flash and stimulus in our daughter's face, so it's wooden toys only, very neutral color and very limited amount of toys. And she has a very calculated playtime window. And then when we go to bed, we teach her more lessons, and the whole thing repeats again and again and again. That's the schedule. Now, again, on paper, if you were like, hey, how do you raise the most successful child? Maybe you'd come up with something similar. Right? Hey, yes, teach them all the languages, get extra lessons, learn, no stimulus, etc. But how might that translate in terms of the kid's experience, right? One, and this is the first thing that stood out to me when they said this, is, wow, they really have very little contact with their daughter, right? Both of them work, again, in tech. They have 2 nannies, one that just lives with them. And it seems like the nanny's doing even some of the playing, does all the lessons, cooks the meals, eats with the kid, and the parents just see the kid here and there outside of their work. So again, to each their own. But it was interesting. I'm like, what would look good on paper here? I just sense like emotionally, again, logical parenting, emotional parenting. Perhaps this kid is craving more bonding, right? Not just through logic. And even when you're hanging out with your parent, you don't always want to just be doing logical learning or improving things. Sometimes you just want to be, right? Sometimes you want to goof around. Even when we were there, my daughter and her were playing together, and anytime, similar to the bounce house, they would get too excited, the dad especially would be like, hey, calm down. Now, as we talked about before in a previous episode, this can lead to suppressing that excitement. But ultimately, it was just very, very strict, right? With that whole mindset, we got to set our kid up for success, and we have to start early. But again, what about the emotional side? There's more to life than that, right? And this is something that I've actually personally seen myself and a lot of the clients that I coach when it comes to transformational work is the people who tend to be the most disconnected emotionally, right? Very, very logical, because they're disconnected emotionally and they can't resonate with that layer of life, of existence. The way that they make sense of life is purely logical, analytical, and it's through these little benchmarks of, did I win or did I fail? And that's what gives meaning. Look, I got a promotion. Look, I won this. Look, I did this. I got another raise, etc. That's what determines the course of my life and the success of my life, as opposed to, what about the experience? Instead of the little check mark, what about the experience? But because there's less of that emotional side, they don't see it. Someone who's deep in apathy will fall into this. That's how they make sense of it, right? Then I do this, just very logical, goal-oriented. Nothing wrong with being goal-oriented, but hey, there's another side of things, okay? Now, you also don't want to go pure emotional, by the way. It's a good mix, but parents who tend to fall into this, strict schedule, set them up early for success, benchmark, perfectionist as well. I don't know. It's not for me. I'll put it that way.